Modern residential energy systems generally depend on centralized infrastructure. Electricity and heating are commonly supplied through public utility networks or conventional fuel sources. For many households, these services operate continuously in the background with little direct interaction beyond monthly billing and routine maintenance. Alongside these conventional systems, there has been growing interest in alternative approaches that emphasize local energy production. Some methods rely on solar panels, wind turbines, battery storage, or backup generators. Others focus on instructional projects designed for individuals interested in constructing their own equipment using commonly available materials. The electricity freedom system belongs to this second category. Rather than supplying a manufactured energy device, it presents a documented construction process intended for personal assembly. The electricity freedom system is a digital instructional package centered around the construction of a biomass-based energy device. Instead of shipping physical hardware, the product provides documentation that explains how a specific system is assembled using commercially available materials. According to the instructional structure, users receive written blueprints, illustrated assembly guides, material lists, and video demonstrations that document each stage of construction. The documentation presents the project as relying on organic plant materials, including grass clippings, hay, leaves, sticks, weeds, and other forms of biomass. The instructional material describes a chamber where plant material undergoes controlled decomposition. The generated energy is then described as being directed through conversion components intended for household use. The emphasis of the product is not on purchasing finished equipment but on following documented construction procedures. The process begins by accessing the digital member area after purchase. Users first review the construction documents and examine the complete list of required materials. The product indicates that these components consist primarily of commonly available hardware supplies, insulation materials, structural panels, hoses, adhesives, fasteners, and measuring equipment. After collecting the required components, users follow the assembly sequence demonstrated throughout the instructional videos. Each stage is presented visually alongside written explanations, allowing the construction process to be followed step by step. Once assembly is complete, the documentation explains procedures for connecting the system to household infrastructure. Separate instructional sections address different connection methods described within the guide. The operational workflow presented in the documentation follows a repetitive sequence. Organic plant material is placed inside the primary chamber. Water is added according to the documented procedure. The system is then presented as operating through biological decomposition occurring inside the chamber. The documentation explains that users periodically replenish the biomass source while monitoring normal system operation. Additional instructional sections describe methods intended to improve weather resistance through protective external materials. Throughout the product, the emphasis remains on following documented procedures rather than modifying the design independently. Based on the documentation, the electricity freedom system appears intended for individuals interested in do-it-yourself construction projects related to residential energy systems. It may also align with people who prefer instructional learning formats rather than purchasing pre-assembled equipment. The materials assume a willingness to gather components, perform manual assembly, and dedicate several hours to construction. Users are expected to interact with both written documentation and video demonstrations throughout the building process. The instructional format also assumes continued participation after construction through periodic loading of biomass materials and routine observation of system operation. Rather than functioning as an automated consumer appliance, the documented project requires ongoing user involvement. Within the broader landscape of residential energy solutions, the electricity freedom system is presented as an instructional documentation package rather than a manufactured product. This distinguishes it from commercial generators, professionally installed renewable energy systems, and factory-built residential equipment. Instead of purchasing completed hardware, users receive educational materials intended to explain a construction process. Compared with professionally installed systems, the primary difference lies in the delivery model. The product supplies information rather than finished equipment. Compared with portable generators, the documentation focuses on assembly and biomass input rather than operating a commercially manufactured engine. Compared with educational engineering courses, the material is organized around a single construction project supported by blueprints, video demonstrations, and assembly documentation. Overall, the Electricity Freedom System is structured as a digital DIY guide that documents one specific approach to building a biomass-based residential energy project using commonly sourced materials.